Welcome to Just DAO It, the podcast for people starting DAOs. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm your host. I'm the CEO of MyDAO, which provides legal entity solutions for DAOs. And prior to starting MyDAO, I did consulting for people starting and operating DAOs. This is the second of two episodes this week. In the first episode, we covered the news with our guest, Micah Baylor, and we dug into our hot takes, what we agree with and disagree with. So if you missed that episode, please go check it out. For this episode, we will go a little bit deeper into an interview with Micah and learn more about his project and his advice for people starting DAOs. And to kick things off, Micah, for this episode, would you tell us a little bit more about how you got into Web3 and crypto in the first place?
I guess there's two different times where I got into crypto. The first time just means I set up a Coinbase account and bought some Etherium. And the second time is when I said, hey, I'm going to dedicate my life's work to this. The first one, I think, is more just kind of like everyone's story, right? Like a friend said, hey, this crypto stuff is cool and you should probably check it out. And buying these tokens, for me, that happened really like beginning of 2017 is when I started picking up tokens. I would say I was taking it seriously around 2018. Thankfully, after everything dumped, is when I really started buying tokens. And what I've what I guess like the short thing to get out of that is just like this isn't my personal first bear market. And I benefited greatly from building during 2018 and 19 to catch the right up. So I'd encourage everyone who's like, a first cycler, as we would call you, your first time to watch everything crash, burn, and die. This will come back, man. Just get back to work and start building. When it comes to getting into the space full time, that really comes down to the pandemic. At the time, I was just brokering employee benefits. So I was just, working in the insurance space. And when the pandemic came around, I was able to take all of my in-person meetings and make them virtual. And I just automated a lot of stuff. So I had all of this time now in my hands, and I was like, what am I going to do that's meaningful, that makes a difference? So I started to do a lot of personal reflection, and I came down to deciding that blockchain is the most important technology for me to custodian like into the world, for me to introduce to the world. The reason is because blockchain is a network, and networks, the way that they work is they kind of take hold and then they take over. Like, they're going to be everywhere. And blockchain, I believe, will be everywhere, but I believe that it's up to us to make sure that it is done in a way that is good for people. So at the beginning of 2020, I stated, like I wrote down that my personal goal was to have a hand in onboarding 1 billion people to the blockchain. And ever since then, I've just been taking the next opportunity in front of me to help with that. At first it was do an NFT project with beautiful art because that'll bring more people in. And, how I went about onboarding people into the space maybe has changed over time, but that's always been the driving goal is onboard 1 billion people. I eventually find Opolis, and Opolis is, I think, maybe the greatest way to onboard somebody. We talk a lot at Opolis about how, it's a way for you to take like your DAO income and turn it into a W-2 payroll with benefits. But also we can help out people who are not in Web3. It's a way for like a real estate agent who is a 1099 person, or, a yoga instructor, someone who is not being employed by a person, a freelancer, solopreneur type of person. They can feed their 1099 income into Oplis and receive back a payroll and benefits. And in doing so, they will also see, oh, wait a second, there's crypto things underneath this hood. So yeah, when it comes back to it, I just really believe that decentralization matters. When things are centralized, you can hide things in dark corners and you can benefit specific, stakeholders. But if we decentralize things, I believe the world will just be a better, more fair place. And that's all I'm doing. Just onboarding 1 billion people, Adam. That's what I'm up to.
That's awesome. I mean, it reminds me of kind of how I see things. I don't have a number, but to me, my mission in life now is to help bring DAOs to the world. And whether it's, 1,000 or a billion, there maybe not be a billion DAOs for a while, but first we need a billion people. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. So to tell us a little bit more about what you're doing at Opolis, and then also, what does that look like if a person decides to work with Opolis? What is it that Opolis is really providing them?
Yeah, at Opolis, I am a community success steward. And I like that word steward. It means that I am a steward of these things happening. It's not like I'm a person who has like a title that's like manager or sales coordinator. It's like steward, right? It feels nice. It feels
It
good.
does.
And
Yeah.
what I do as a steward is I'm just a steward of people finding out about Opolis. That's what I do. I am here to talk to you about Opolis and to help your onboarding be fantastic and fabulous. I really wanted to contribute at Opolis because of my experience in the employee benefit space. I saw Opolis as the only place in the world where I had a decade of experience because I had like 8, 9 years in the employee benefit space and, a couple of years in Web3. Um, so yeah, Opolis was just a place where I felt I could contribute most. I really enjoy taking complex things like insurance and just explaining them in plain, simple terms and helping facilitate that decision making, for individuals. And that's it's a lot of what I'm doing. I'm just talking to DAOs, I'm talking to Web 2 people, and I'm just sharing like what it means to be part of a collective. At the end of the day, when you go at it alone, it's hard. I've only received a W-2 income when I was in like high school. When I was like in high school working at Starbucks, I would get a W-2 from my employer. But ever since then, I've been a contractor or an independent of some type. I've always had to figure out things like healthcare. I've always had to figure out things like taxes and reporting. And what Opolis does is we just make those things ridiculously easy. You basically just choose how much money you want to be putting from your business account into your personal account. That is your salary. You need to set your salary, and then once you've set your salary, you just fund it. You can fund it with crypto, or you can fund it with fiat, and a few days after you have funded your payroll salary, we deposit a check into your bank account. So it feels just like an employer employee relationship. Of course, in this context, you are the employer. So that is fantastic. But yeah, you get paid on the first Friday, you get paid on the third Friday of every month. We take care of all of the taxes. So, SUDA, FICA, FUTA, local taxes. We pull those things from your paycheck. We send them to the appropriate entities. We collectively bargain for you to have access to things like benefits. The last labor movement was like, I guess it's like 1930, like 1940s, is like when the Teamsters and the unions became a thing. And these union workers, it wasn't like the super skilled people. Those people already have jobs and benefits. It was all of those people with, some technical skill, but maybe more common skills. They came together and they collectively bargained for better benefits, safer working conditions, better pay. And I feel like that the future of work is more B2B. We see right now businesses are hiring more contractors, but maybe those contractors should be classified as employees. Businesses, though, if they're contracting businesses, then everything's more kosher. Um, and also, if you are a business, you have more bargaining power, right? Like if you're a professional running a consulting business, you can tell your contract like, hey, I had business expenses that went up this year, and those business expenses could just be the cost of your healthcare, right? But you're like, hey, my employee, i.e., me, cost of doing business went up, right? Need more money on my contract. So just as we move into that future where I think more businesses are doing business with small businesses, B2B being the future of work, there needs to be some way for all of those smaller entities to collectively bargain. Again, it just comes back to benefits, right? But collectively bargaining for benefits is how my granddad got rich, right? Like he part of a union, they negotiated good benefits. Those benefits covered the things that he needed so that when he went to the doctor, it didn't bankrupt him. And he also had access to a good retirement account so that he could save for retirement and have seven figures sitting inside of an account someplace, right?
Yep.
Um,
So
yeah.
is it fair to say that if a person decides to work through Opolis, they retain all the benefits of being an independent contractor without the downsides because they still directly control their relationship with their employer? They could walk away anytime, for example, and I guess set the terms of the agreement, but then they get to, through Opolis, still get all the benefits that they would get if they were an employee. Cool.
100%.
How did DAOs fit into the picture?
The thing about DAOs, like in my scenario, I earn from Opolis. I receive USDC from Opolis. There's other DAOs that pay me money. I just got an airdrop. This DAO I've been contributing to for about a year. I've been contributing inside of this community for a year. We've finally released our token, so I just got like a fat stack of tokens. um Granted, I'm not
Congrats.
going to dump all those tokens. Appreciate. But if I want to sell some of those tokens, what do I do with them? What Opolis gives you is it's just that, hey, on the first Friday and on the third Friday you're going to get paid, right? You choose how you fund that payroll. You could fund that payroll with money you earned doing anything. Um, Working at DAO A, DAO B, combination of the two. Another really cool feature with the Opolis, just like the dashboard and the tools, is you have access to running 24 bonuses per year. So, like in my scenario where I'm earning like my normal income from Opolis as a contractor, I set up my own consulting agency, and it's my consulting agency that has a contract with Opolis itself, right? And then I'm receiving USDC to my consulting agency, the business, and then that consulting agency sends money to a crypto wallet address twice a month, and then that is the Opolis address. And then from that, my employee account, i.e., my normal bank account, it just gets a United States dollar deposit twice a month. So like now, hey, this other DAO I've been working at for the last year finally got paid. Airdrop is pretty fat. It's thousands of dollars. I could go into the dashboard and I could run a bonus payroll, and now I'm just responsible for funding my bonus, right? If I say, hey, I want a $5,000 bonus, I just got to put 5,000 more in crypto into that wallet, and then they take out the taxes. Maybe I contribute some of it to a 401k. That is one of the cool things about Opolis is you have access to 401k through a Slavic 401k. Slavic is a crypto friendly 401k, so you can
Hmm.
do even self directed like crypto things.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So if you're planning on crypto as part of your retirement, you might as well do it in a way that the tax man doesn't have to question what's going on.
Yeah. That's cool. And I guess the other thing is that if I think about it from the DAO's perspective, um, if a DAO has a lot of people working for it, it might want to suggest that those people check out Opolis, right? It's not something that just, I mean, yeah, it's for the benefit of the people doing the work, the contributors. But if a DAO is thinking about how to provide the best possible experience for the contributors, it may actually want to, again, to suggest that the people involved do sign up with Opolis. And isn't there a way that a DAO can actually partner with Opolis and in providing that to their members?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. DAOs or individuals, people can, join Opolis and then they can benefit from referring people to Opolis. So DAOs who want to maybe refer people to Opolis, they could receive referral bonuses to their treasury. Referral bonuses are hard, like United States dollar money. And then there's also a way where you can benefit by getting our work token. You get work rewards when you use Opolis or when you refer people to Opolis. And what's so cool about these work tokens is that they are a dividend token. Opolis is not yet profitable. We are still, we're still spending money, guys. But we're also a business model of scale. Right now we have 500 members, but if we can grow to have, even 1% of the freelancers in America would be hundreds of thousands of people. So imagine there's hundreds of thousands of people paying a 1% fee to process their payroll, get access to benefits. Once we do become a fully fledged DAO, those benefits, those dividends will be paid out to work token holders. So I would say that just like hard bottom line, there's a lot of good reasons for a DAO or an individual to be, referring people to Opolis. But then also just like on being competitive, like how as a DAO are you supposed to recruit top of the line talent
Hmm.
if you can't answer the benefits question,
Hmm.
right? Like in the US, if you get a job, you go home and you tell your partner, hey, I got a job. They're going to ask, hey, what are you getting paid? And then they're going to ask, hey, what are the benefits?
Hmm.
And I mean, you have to be able to answer the benefit question
Hmm.
if you're going to hire top of the line talent. It's just the way that it is. So, if you're a DAO that's trying to be competitive, that's trying to bring on good developers, like being able to answer the health insurance question, I would say it just makes you more competitive.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. All right, cool. So I want to ask you some questions about experiences you've had working with DAOs and advice you have for people starting DAOs. We don't have a lot of time left, so we'll try to make it like a lightning round, like a minute or two per
Fire.
question. So, first question is, what is a common growing pain that you see in the early days of DAOs, and how would you recommend people address that challenge?
There's massive turnover, right? 95% of the people who come into one of your town halls will never come back to another town hall. And that's not because of you. It's just because they're busy, and busy is a
Hmm.
state of mind, and that is just where they are at.
Hmm.
So, what you ought to do is you ought to set really clear goals. Really clear goals. I'm a big fan of goal setting. Like I said, I'm here to. I think I said this in the last episode, just around onboarding 1 billion people, and that being my focus. I mean, yeah, set really clear goals and then re-engineer them into smaller goals. Set the calendar ritual that will achieve those goals, and then just relentlessly pound that calendar. If you said you're going to have a town hall for new hires every single Monday, you're going to do that for at least a quarter, at least
Hmm.
13 times in a row before you stop, before you reevaluate.
Yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense because you just can't determine from one or two if it's been successful because you're gonna have different people coming through at each one, and so you don't know if you might find that next major contributor in the first one or the 10th one. So makes a lot of sense. All right. What about the most common challenge or one of the most common challenges you see DAOs facing a little bit later on in their development? And you've already shared a really good one, which is answering the benefits question. I hadn't thought about that. And Opolis is a great answer to that question. What about another challenge that you see a lot of DAOs face a little bit later on and what you'd recommend they do about that?
A lot of DAOs, they will post bounties for work to be done, and that bounty will stay there for months. That work will never get done. There's so many open bounties on D work. D work is a just like a work jobs board. Not necessarily a jobs board in the sense that people post jobs there, but they post like tasks there that have $100, $200 bounty. So yeah, definitely check out a D work. You might just find a DAO, but if you're a DAO that does not have tasks getting filled, then I would suggest that you develop your business development team. And what you're trying to do by developing your biz dev team is build more customized comp packages for your contributors. I think it's wise even to have like monthly planning sessions, like monthly income planning, where you have someone who's a steward in the DAO and they're asking people, how many dollars are you trying to generate from this DAO this month?
Hmm.
Okay, that is a tangible possible goal. What skills do you have? Okay, I as a steward will make sure that you have tasks to do. Like
Yeah.
people just need security. They need to
Yeah.
have conversations about their money and what work they're doing.
Hmm. Such a great point. Yeah, I love that, and it's a good title for that role as well, the steward. Seems like steward could be a good title for a lot of DAO stuff because
Uh,
you're helping something along, right? It's not like you're the only one making it happen or it's all up to you. It's you're helping people go through something. So yes, exactly. Very nice. You mentioned DWork, which is a great tool for DAOs. It started out as like a Trello like tool with a Kanban board for tasks, but as you brought up, it's turned into a lot more, including a bounty board that you can make the tasks and projects open to the world, and it has a lot of other cool stuff as well, like built-in bounties. Do you have another favorite tool that you'd recommend, or just another useful tool you think people should check out if they're starting a DAO today?
I mean, the DAO starter pack is pretty much Snapshot, Gnosis Multisig, and Discord. Past that, I think it's just about collecting appropriate widgets, as I call them. Widgets is just like the thing you need to get your job done. Like that's one reason I'm so stoked on my DAO is it gets you that entity thing filled. Maybe just a widget I love is called Sobol, Sobol. Sobol makes really beautiful like hierarchy circles. There's no hierarchy in DAO. There is no pyramid, but it visualizes really beautifully like who does what. So if you're a DAO and you're having a hard time with role definition, Sobel I would definitely recommend to make that more clear.
Yeah, yeah. And I think arguably it is a hierarchy. It can be a hierarchy of sorts. It just doesn't have to be like a traditional corporate hierarchy. But you could have a circle within a circle within a circle, or two circles within another circle. And so I know people in DAOs don't like to call anything a hierarchy, but I agree. It's a really cool tool. Definitely recommend. I think it's sobel.io. So definitely recommend people check that out. Um, let's say someone walked up to you on the street later today and said, "Hey, I'm starting a DAO later. What's the one piece of advice you have for me?"
I would ask them, "What are you dowing?" You know,
Very nice.
like what are you dowing? I mean, a DAO you could DAO anything. There's Dave DAO, and Dave DAO is just a bunch of dudes named Dave, and it's like, what are they DAOing? They're I don't know, dowing the ownership of the name Dave, but have really clear goals in what it is you're trying to decentralize, because you'll never be able to decentralize everything. So, if you're a social impact DAO, it's like what matters most is that you're choosing projects and you're funding projects in maybe a decentralized way, but maybe you don't necessarily care like, hey, how do we like hire people? Does hiring need to be decentralized, or can we centralize that underneath the stewardship of one person who's just really good and committed here? But like, we need to pick who we're giving to in a decentralized way. So have clear goals, have a really clear idea of what you're trying to DAO, I
Yeah.
would say.
I love that. And document it too, right? Because if someone's just going to be able to just show up in your Discord server, you want them to easily find the thing that says what you're DAOing there, right? Because then they know if they should even be there or not in the first place, and how to potentially contribute in a productive way. What about, other than Opolis, which obviously everyone should check out Opolis, whether it's for your DAO or for yourself as an individual? Do you have another DAO or cow that you would recommend people check out?
It maybe is just a little bit like generic, but more people should go check out Bankless DAO. Like Bankless is just a DAO that everyone should go and be a part of. There's a lot of people I'm running into as of late who are, I don't know, an educator of some sort, and teaching people crypto was the first thing I thought I should do. And I like tried to set up a business model around that. Hey, pay me money and I will onboard you. And what I've learned now is that more people should be contributing to like that education inside of a DAO. Bankless is definitely my favorite. I feel like going to Bankless DAO and just contributing is like the gateway drug to DAOing.
Yeah,
Um,
I love
so
it.
yeah, I would definitely recommend that.
Awesome. Yeah, that comes up so much on the show. It's absolutely, and I totally agree.
Bankless DAO.
I'm a member. Yeah, Bankless comes up all the time. The content, the DAO, all the sub DAOs, and the projects that they're working on. It is an incredible DAO to check out. So definitely agree with that. All right. Well, Micah, this has been amazing. Thank you for digging into all this DAO stuff with us this week. Where can people find you and Opolis on the web and on social?
Yeah, check me on Twitter at Medicine Toad. That is my Twitter handle. I'm also on LinkedIn at Micah Baylor, which is my name. And then you can check me out, or check Opolis out, I should say, just at Opolis. Opolis is Opolis. Opolis, if you need to say it phonetically.
Yes.
You'll never forget it now. It's stuck in your head. Yeah, check out Opolis for sure. We'll be happy to see you on the Twitter.
That's awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at 0xthriller, or MyDAO is at MyDAODS. That's MIDAODS, or MyDAO.org. Again, Micah, thank you so much for joining Just DAO. This has been really fun.
A lot of fun, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Yep. And are you thinking about starting a DAO? Just DAO it. Just DAO It is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Just DAO It does not contain any legal or financial advice. My DAO also does not provide legal or financial advice, and nor does your host, yours truly.